Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to an unboxing component video for Dungeon Drop. I've done this video before. I'm redoing it though, just because I have the new expansions. I just kind of want to re-go over everything. Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to an unboxing component video for the Dungeon Drop game. This is a very interesting game that uses cubes and dropping them and making a treasure. It's kind of a D&D-esque game, but it's very fun and fast-paced. So they come in these little cubes like this, which are really cool. This is the top of the box. Inside, see if I can, it's hard to tell with my camera here, but there's some neat art inside as well. And then we'll have the bottom of the box, which has more artwork from some of the different characters in there, as well as some artwork inside. In the box itself, great storage. It can also be used as part of the game, or it's used for part of the game as well, which is kind of neat. So the big thing is we're going to get all these little cubes. I do have a mat here. This is the official Dungeon Drop playmat. There's actually two halves here, and there's a border wall. For when you're dropping things, they don't fly everywhere. It's not part of this box set, but I'm going to use it as a playmat. Yeah, so you got all these different gems. They're going to represent various sizes of currency and different colors. I don't think they ever actually specify which ones are which. They might. But yeah, we have different colored gems. We have some gold that you can collect, and there's big and small ones of those as well. There are gray ones, which are pillars, which are what you use to form a dungeon. And then we have a pack of meeples and monsters and some treasure chests. So these are various things that we drop throughout the game. We also have a bunch of these cards here. They're some square cards. So we have classes you can play as, like archer and cleric and mage. We have different characters like gnomes, half-orcs, shadow folks, and then we have quests that we're trying to complete. So what you're trying to do is working with other players to, or not working with, but working against other players to explore the most parts of the dungeon and gain the most loot. So yeah, your turns are very simple. So you're going to explore. You're going to draw a number of cubes from your box based on how many players there are. So if 2 players, it's 6 cubes. And the idea is in that way, everyone's getting the same amount of cubes. And if there's any dropping them, is going to let you kind of change where the layout of some stuff is. You can act by using your race or class ability to give you various bonuses. And then you actually loot. You collect the loot from the room. Then everyone determines, based on how much loot they have, whoever weighs the most, and you restructure the turn order. So it's not always put like left to right. It goes by whoever weighs the least is to act first. So basically, the more treasure you've collected, you get to go later. Therefore, other players get to do other stuff. So here's some different other things. You have the pillars used to connect the room. You have monsters. So if you collect these, you lose health, and then each of your characters has different health. So each character, each class has to play a little bit differently, because some of them can never take out a dragon because they die in one hit, which makes sense. And there's various treasures you can get. So there's the gems of varying sizes, 3 colors, 3 different sizes. There's chests with keys. They're gold, which just get you points, and then there are health potions and a magic shield. So, just a really quick, brief idea of how a turn works, or how the game is played. So, you're going to take I'm going to flip this down a little bit. So, you're going to take all your gems, you're going to pull out to start the game, you pull out all your big ones. So I just have this little collection of small gems, but I do want to take out these green ones. These are relics. These are used for a special mode. So there's not a lot of treasure chests and different gems in there right away. What we would do is we would add our gold ones in there. we'll add our our gray pillars. And then if we open up our other bag, we have various monsters in here. So we have some green ones for goblins, which are small. We have some little orange ones, which are our keys. Now we do have two other sizes. We have some medium sizes, or some large sizes. They're the same as these, but they're wooden instead of like plastic. These are our trolls. And we have one giant dragon, which we're also going to set off to the side as well. And then we also have, oh I'm sorry, these are bigger keys. We'll set those off to the side. We set all the big ones off. We have bigger trolls are the dark green ones. And there's a black staircase that is also set off to the side, as well as the Meeples. We set those off. We don't want any of them. It's just the small cubes. So the only ones we don't include are the little green ones and the staircase, because those are for solo modes. There's a way to play this game by yourself. So you take all these cubes. Now, you can pick them all up in your hand and do it. But that's what the box comes in nice for. So you have to try and hold all these in your hand. So then you're supposed to drop them from way up top. And I probably didn't do it high enough. But then what it does is that it forms your dungeon here. Just kind of spreads. I probably didn't shake them out very well. So then how you actually form a dungeon is you have to match these three pillars. So anytime you have these three green ones, or gray ones, they're your pillars, you match three in a triangle shape, which actually, if we look at the instruction book, it will show us, because this is a very nice little instruction book, which does explain setup, like you gotta take quest cards and hero cards and all that. We didn't look at any of those yet. But it shows here, like, you form a triangle, and then you collect everything that's inside that triangle. And then here's an indicator of how much everything's worth. So most of the cards aren't worth anything. Gold are worth one thing. Keys are only worth something if you get a treasure chest with them. The gems are worth based on your quest cards, so everyone's playing a little bit differently. Monsters are worth points if you can capture them. But it all depends. So now, like, I have an option right here, is I could do this one, and this one. Let me zoom up on those a little bit. So if I did those three, I would gain this treasure chest and this one thing. So I'd pull those out, and those would go into my treasure collection. So that's one way to do it. Now, alternatively, I have one here, and one here, which would net me a blue gem, a white gem, but I also have to... Oh, I'm not even pointing at this. Yeah, so if I did this one, I get a blue gem, a white gem, but I'd also have to fight a goblin. And if I defeat the goblin, great. I don't get any points for goblins, but it might be worth getting the extra treasure chest. The only thing you can't do is you can't set, you can't form a triangle where there's another pillar. So I couldn't do this one, and this one way over here, because there's a pillar in the middle. But basically, the bigger the size room you can do, the more treasure you get. So if we got this guy, this one, and this one right here, I would get one white or clear, one blue, one gold. I have to fight two goblins. So I take 2 damage from it. Early on, or depending on which race I am, that might not be an issue. Because again, some of the races have more health. So this Boblin here only has 3 health, so taking 2 damage might not be worth it, where this character has 6 health, so taking 2 damage, probably not that big of a deal. I mean, but the fact you get 3 more things. So it's all based on that. The other thing you do before you pick your dungeon is at the beginning of the turn, you reach into the box, you put all your big gems back into the container. So now this is going to give you your bigger gems, your bigger gold, and also some more monsters. So what you do is you grab 3 or 4, depending on how many. You start way up, and and you drop them down. And they're going to shoot all over the table, but they could land, knock some of these out of the way, make some different paths, do different things. So they're actually going to form some different stuff here. So, like, now if I selected that, it would be the exact same. But I could select some of these over here. Like, if I pick this one, and that one, I would get all these gold in here. But I would also have to take out at least 2 different goblins. And that's how the game is basically played, is you're just trying to collect different ones. I did not drop the treasure chest, though. So the treasure chest would be in the box with the bigger ones. So they're little dice. They're 6-sided dice, basically. But yeah, they go in there, and at the end of the game, if you have a treasure chest and a key, you roll the die at the end of the game to figure out this is worth 6 points. Like each gold one's worth certain different points, and after 3 rounds, everybody decides, you figure out how much everything's worth. There are also goals or quests, though, which let you figure out what you're trying to collect. So this one is going to get, if you have a blue, a white, and a pink, you're going to get these scores. Chest score plus 3 for each. So I have to have 3 of each to score. So if I collect a lot of blue on this one, I gain a lot, and so on and so forth. But then you could get something like Gem Cutter's Gemstones. So for each large gem, score 4 points, and for each small gem, score 1 point. So this one, you're going to want to only try and focus on big gems versus small gems. But the problem is, the bigger they are, the heavier you weigh, the less you get an attack or play. Like this one, you get 3 for a white, 2 for a pink. But then for blue, you gain increasing amounts for each one. Yeah, so it's different little things like that. So that's how the quests make. And the character abilities do different things. They let you reveal different cubes, or flick monsters around to try and collect treasures, flick gems around to move things around the dungeon, flick a key or a chest. That way you can move stuff around before you make your dungeon. That is the basis of the game. And now you've seen all the pieces except for we have these little cardboard trackers. So here's your turn order markers, and you can flip them over to show your turn's been done. And then they have some meeple cards and some relic trackers and some pillars. These are for solo mode. And then the trackers are for, if I can find it, after you've played some games, you can start doing this teamwork mode. So then what you do is, on somebody else's turn, you can put your meeples in the dungeon. Then if they form a treasure around where your meeple's at, you gain an extra point. And then every time you can go up to the end of the game, you can gain extra points for being in the same room as somebody else creates. And there's a solo mode, which works fairly much the same way, except in the solo mode, you're going to drop these green relics in there, which are worth various points for collecting them, and then you're going to get a dungeon staircase. So then what you do is you form these rooms, and each time you form them, you pull these pillars off, and you put these tokens down. You can keep making the room bigger and bigger to clear it out until you get to your staircase, and then you can choose to go to the next level or leave the dungeon. And then if you leave the dungeon, you count up all your points and you see how well you did. If you go to the next one, you have to keep playing until you can get over to that staircase. So it's just kind of a little survival-y type mode. So that's basically how that all works. And there's other little things here and there that I did not go over. It was more or less just to show off all the different components. Yeah, so like this will have to scroll up on it. Zoom in on this. This will be our. Come on, focus. So this will tell you what you have for each one. So this is a gold, you have 12 small, 8 large. They score 1 point. Keys and treasure chests go together. Gems, quests. health potions. So if you get little purple health potions, which are... Oh, I set them off to the side. So you get 2 small health potions. You can also get little purple shiny dice. Or not dice, cubes. So health potions will let you remove a health potion from your stash to uncover 1 health point. So you get a heal. Magic shields, which you get these clear ones with little diamonds in there. Let you negate 1 point of damage. And then the relics for solo rules, and they have different goblins. So each one takes 1, 2, or 8 points. The dragon you can't actually fight without even having a magic shield. And there's pillars and staircases. And then it talks about the weight and the gameplay. Heroic mode, Spelunker mode, a bunch of FAQs, just in case. And there's a credit for all the amazing people that worked on this game. And their phase shift studios, so they have other games and more expansions. This is just the core game. So you have an idea of what everything is in there. We're going to look at the various cards now. And see what all the different characters are. So we are going to get 4 copies of these player aids, which we showed off before. So you're going to show your different stuff, remind you what you can do on each turn. If I had to say one thing I wish they would have maybe changed on here, just would have been like maybe mention, like if there was some way. I mean, there's a lot of stuff on these cards already, but would have been a way to have a list for the size of the cubes or what their weight are. It's not that hard. It's basically heavier cubes weigh more than other cubes. I don't know if it says specifically. The total number of cubes determines the weight. Okay, so it's just total number. It doesn't care if they're big or small. Alright, that's why I wasn't sure. I was thinking the big ones were way more for some odd reason. Alright, so let's look at our classes here. So they're going to have this neat little picture on the back just to separate them. And I just threw it across the table. Alright, so we have a Bobbling. This number in the top, the 0, is an initiative number. And that has to do with who gets to play first when you first start off a game. And for other various, sometimes with various effects, it might have to do with the initiative. So basically, the lower you are, the quicker you get to go. So kind of like the weight thing, where the less you're carrying, the quicker you get to go. The initiative breaks those ties in case people have the same amount. It also gives people with maybe a little bit weaker abilities or less health the chance to act first. So you have a Bobbling. So this is one of the goblins that actually gets to fight with you. It says Babble. Redrop all monsters of 1 color in the dungeon. So that means you can pick up all the goblins or all the trolls and redrop them down. So it's kind of fun. So if you don't like where they're placed, we have a Dragling King. Titan Tongue. Move a huge monster anywhere in the dungeon. Dwarf. Mine. Count a gold as a pillar. So now this is where the game gets more interesting. So this actually lets you count the gold to use as one of your pillars somewhere else. So it expands your radius on where you can create dungeons. We have a Fairy. Fairy Dust. Hold a game card over any area of the dungeon. Redrop all cubes beneath it. So yeah, you can set like card over a square area and you can redrop a bunch. Again, you're changing the dungeon up with cards like that. Gear Golem. Wind up. Remove 1 treasure in your stash from the game to use your class ability twice. Gnome. Crystalline Alchemy. Flick 1 gem. Half Orc. Flick Bash. Flick 1 monster. Hawkman. Flight. Form a room using 1 additional pillar. High Elf, Warp, redrop all treasure of one color in the dungeon. Human, Improvise, search the box for one cube and drop it in the dungeon, then return one large cube from the dungeon to the box. Now I like this because you can draw anything, so if you need a key or you need a treasure chest or a specific color, you can pick what you want. We have an Isham, Rune Read, count one gem as a pillar. Shadowfolk, Lockpick, flick one key or chest. Sleuth, Constrict, redrop all cubes outside the dungeon boundary. So outside the dungeon boundary means anything that's sitting outside of one of the pillars. So this will that means if something like lands like outside of where two pillars, so it's never gonna meet a third pillar. It lets you bring them back in. We do also have like big pillars that get dropped as well, so the dungeon can potentially get expanded that way. We have a Stone King. Remove one treasure. Stone Speak. Remove one treasure in your stash from the game to flick one pillar. This guy just kind of restructure the dungeon. And Wood Elf. Herbalism. Uncover 2 health points. Move the cubes beside your race card for scoring purposes. So there's some different ones there. So it's all there's 11 of those, I believe. There's 11? 15, sorry, there's 15. Then there are 10 classes. And the classes are kind of neat because they can, as you get them, they sit next to each other and they form kind of like one big giant card. So let's look at what our classes do. And this is also a way the game can be, because if someone really likes a character, you can try a different class. And in solo mode, you can actually, as you change from dungeon to dungeon by using the stairs, you can change your classes out too, so you actually get to try different ones. So you have Adept. Study. Reveal 2 cubes from the box, and may then return them. You may collect 1 cube of either color. Archer. Bullseye. Flick 1 non-pillar cube. If it hits another cube of the same color, collect them both. Otherwise, you cannot form a room containing a cube of that color, so it's kind of risky. A Bard. Serenade. When looting a room, do not collect a pair of monsters of the same color. Beastmaster. Tame. Flick 1 small monster. If it hits a treasure, collect the treasure. Cleric. Miracle. Reveal 2 cubes from the box, then return them. You may flick 1 cube of either color. Mage has an illusion. Reveal 2 cubes from the box, then return them. You may count 1 cube of either color as a pillar. Ranger. Scavenge. Count 1 cube outside the dungeon boundary as a pillar. Rogue. Shadow Find. Collect 1 treasure outside the dungeon as a boundary. Rope Master. Move 1 treasure in your stash from the game to redrop 1 pillar. Collect the treasure closest to the redropped pillar. And finally, we have Warrior. Intimidate. Count 1 monster as a pillar. So one thing you're supposed to also do when you play this is you're supposed to randomly hand out the races and classes. So that someone doesn't decide to play Hawkman and Warrior together, and all of a sudden now you can do 3 pillars plus 1's a monster. So you have a big giant, you might get that as a thing, that might happen. And then these guys have a sword on the back. But you don't want someone I'm gonna specifically pick these because I know a cheap way to do this, and then someone else gets something weak because they don't know how to play it, type of idea. And then here are quests. And all the quests have double names, so Collector's Curiosity. For each gem color which you have exactly 1 cube, score 6. So this one gets 6 points for having each of 1 gem. So in this one you want to collect each gem, then go after gold and treasure chests. Earl's Errand. Small gold scores double, large gold scores triple. And you gain different points for each one of them you have. Sage's Stand. If you end the game with 3 or more health, score 6. Scout's Specialty. If you are the lightest or tied for the lightest hero at the end of the game, score 7. Vanguard's Vermin. Small monsters score 1 each if you collected small monsters, score +4. That's just different ways to do it. Foolish Folly. Chests score +3 each. Gem Cutter's Gemstones. Large gems score 4, each small gem scores 1. Heroes Help. Your teamwork points are doubled, 4 players, tripled for 3 players, or quadrupled for 2 players. Redraws quest immediately if not playing with the heroic team mode. This is where you get set your meeple in there, which I recommend doing anytime after the first time you after you played a couple of times to do that, because then it kind of adding the extra teamwork mode either gets you more points or it might persuade people to go this way, I'll give this guy a point because that's a really good thing, or it might dissuade them from going after certain things. And then Hoarder's Hunt. If you are the heaviest hero at the end of the game, score 5. And then Queen's Quest. So 3 for whites, 2 for that, and then blues score. So for 1 you gain 1 point, for 2 you gain 4 points, for 3 you gain 9 points, and 4 plus you gain 16. So after you get 4, it doesn't really make sense to collect any more blue ones unless you're trying to hoard them from other players, which is a very valid strategy. Now, the quests, though, you keep hidden the entire game, so you know what you're trying to do with the other players don't. That's another little fact I forgot to mention. Alright, so that is everything in the Dungeon Drop main set. So I am going to go over the Kickstarter exclusive components, just to show off the stuff that came in there. But I just wanted to get through all the base stuff first. So this is just the I'll do the Kickstarter stuff in a separate video. But this is just the stuff you get in the base set, which is not listed as Deluxe. The Deluxe will have all the Kickstarter stuff. I will do that in a follow-up video, just to keep it separate. So everything you see in here is just in the regular set. It's like a purple box, instead has a purple tint on it instead. Alright, see you guys in that video. Bye. Alright, so now we're going to look at the stuff that came in the Deluxe Edition only. Now, the Deluxe Edition may occasionally be available through the Phase Shift website, or you might see it available. It's essentially the Kickstarter exclusive content. What you're getting is, this little sheet tells you all the stuff, is you're getting premium cubes, which we'll take a look at. And closer, you're going to get some premium meeples and tokens. And then you're going to get 2 mini expansions. And these mini expansions, again, may also be available as a separate purchase outside of it, but through the Phase Shift website, but they're going to be limited. So don't expect to see them around a lot. Alright, so let's look at our first little thing. So we're going to get some printed cubes, which are really fun. So this here was a giant selling point for me on the Kickstarter portion of it. The game itself is really fun and everything, and all that, nothing wrong with that. So you get these printed meeples instead. I'm just going to zoom in, I'm going to tilt my camera down, and we're just going to look at them that way. So we're going to get all of our original green goblins can now be replaced with printed ones. So there's a goblin on either of 2 sides. So whether it's sitting face up or if it's sitting sideways, you're always going to be able to see one of the 2 sides will always be visible. So you can tell that these are goblins. The same thing with the trolls. They're going to replace all of the big light green ones, the 4 of them, with some trolls here. The dragon, the big red dragon, will get replaced with a dragon. It's printed. And then all the little tiny brown ones will actually go at the treasure chests, will have key pictures on them. As well as the big 2. And I really love this, and this was something if you're looking for this game, you could buy it without it. You can figure out the colors are very easy to tell. I just love the fact this adds a little bit more to the game. It's kind of like adding 3D terrain to a dungeon crawling game. Yeah, do I need 3D chests or 3D doors in my game? No, I can use tokens. It's perfectly fine. But these make it that much more fun. Just because it's a little bit more thematic. I can tell which I'm grabbing right away. Different ones. The fact that they're wood, though, compared to the clear cubes or the shiny cubes, also make them so they stand out either way with the regular ones. So that's that little deluxe upgrade. You're also going to get little punch-out tokens to keep track on the board. So if you're playing the teamwork mode, so instead of using these little tiny meeples here, you're going to get one that matches each of your races. So you can use those just to keep track of which player you are on the board. And then you're going to get a bunch of printed meeples. So these are all your different classes. They're double-sided printed. They will stand up. So comparison in size to one of the regular meeples. They're about twice as big, or a little bit, or so. They're a little bit thicker. But yeah, again, it makes the thematic experience a little bit better. So if you're playing that teamwork mode, which again they recommend doing, you can drop your... So now I can drop my hero in there, and I can have monsters actually in there, and it makes the game just that much more thematic. Is it, again, necessary? Absolutely not. But it makes the game, I got this hero in here doing that. That's my character. Versus I'm the red guy. So those are really fun. I don't believe those are going to be available outside of the Deluxe Edition. The next two things we're going to show off are mini expansions that you can get. They might be available through the website. I don't know how long. They might just be well quantities last. So if something you're interested, maybe check into that sooner than later. Otherwise, you can probably get them secondhand market through other stuff like Board Game Geek or stuff like that. Other websites might sell them. So first one is Gelatinous Cube. So we're going to get 2 Gelatinous Cube, which are see-through green. They're really cool. So they are the same size as they're the same size as your other cubes, your large cubes. And the Gelatinous Cube have a couple different effects. So it says Overflow 2. Before dropping the dungeon, draw 2 random cubes from the box and add them to the starting dungeon. And add them to the starting dungeon, the set of smaller cubes. Then add the 2 Gelatinous Cubes to the box. From the box and add them to the starting dungeon. Okay, so big ones. Basically, you're replacing the Gelatinous Cubes are replacing 2 of the big cubes in the box, but you're putting 2 of the other ones in the dungeon. Gameplay. Whenever Gelatinous Cube is in the dungeon without a treasure on top of it, place the closest treasure. Let me set this down. So that way I quit shaking everywhere. Place the closest treasure on top of the Gelatinous Cube. For example, when it's first dropped in the dungeon, or when the treasure falls off due to cubes being flicked around. Whenever a Gelatinous Cube is collected, that player collects both the Gelatinous Cube and the treasure on top of it. Each Gelatinous Cube removes 2 health, so it's like the size of a troll. So it's the same size, so it makes sense. Scoring at the end, each Gelatinous Cube scores 2 points at the end of the game. So what they do is add a neat little element. So when you drop one in, you'll find the closest treasure chest, and you'll set it on top of it. So now the Gelatinous Cube is eating a treasure chest. So then when you collect it, you collect both of them. I believe it's treasure chest. Because here they say, oh, just treasure cubes. So it's actually any cube. So it just picks up, I always thought it was the treasure chest. It just picks up whatever's nearest to it. So it's eating whatever treasure, so whatever cube is next to it. So it could be a key, a chest, one of the gems, health potion, magic shield. So whatever it's next to it. I hear chest, I hear treasure, my brain thinks treasure chest. But it'll pick up whatever's next to it, and it'll eat it so it won't eat another monster. And then when you defeat it, you collect that chest. It's just an extra little thing. Being that there's only 2 of them in there, you're not going to draw them constantly or super often. But you will have the ability to get them. Just a fun little extra thing to add to the game. The next one we're going to get is shiny purple cubes. So those are going to be these. So we had the original ones, which are health potions, which are small cubes. And then these are big ones. So you get 2 of these in this expansion. And then how those work is like this. Let's see. So, setup. Roll to determine the purple cube effects. Before dropping the dungeon, add the specified number of small purple cubes to the starting dungeon. For the large purple cubes, drop X random cubes from the box, add them to the starting dungeon. Then add X purple cubes to the box. So it depends on, how many different things you want to do. So it's 2 plus 2x. So if you want to make a potion of stamina, remove the potion of stamina in your stash from the game using both your race and class abilities during this. To use both your race and class abilities during the act. So you can only normally use 1. So that ended up costing you 2 small purple to do. The mimic one will cost you 2 big ones. So when you collect a mimic, reveal 1 cube from the box. If you reveal a treasure, add it to your stash and return it to the mimic box. Otherwise, collect the mimic and scores -2. So it eats you. We have if you have all 4 of them, you can do the Crystal Golem. Crystal Golem counts as a monster that removes 2 health. Removes 2 health, scores a gem of any color. We have a Magic Bolt. Remove Magic Bolt from the stash and drop it in the dungeon. Kill the closest 2 small monsters or 1 large monster. Place them beside your race for the later scoring purposes. Then remove Magic Bolt from the game. We have Secret Door. When you loot a room from a secret door, you may collect 1 cube from an adjacent room. A room that shares 2 pillars with this one. Cannot collect secret doors. And then Dragon Egg. When you collect a Dragon Egg, redrop a huge monster of the dungeon. Each Dragon Egg scores the emote equal to the number of Dragon Eggs you collected. So yeah, these are kind of a extra little thing you can do. Before dropping the dungeon, add the specified number of small purple cubes to the starting dungeon. Then set the smaller cubes. For the large purple cubes, draw X random cubes from the box and add them to the starting dungeon. Then add X large purple cubes to the box. So it's basically saying if you're doing just the small potions, you don't have to add anything. But if you want to do the bigger ones, you're adding 2, or you might be adding 1 for that one or 2 for that one. So it's kind of fun. Just extra little things. So that's the extra Kickstarter stuff. There are also additional. There's a special promo pack that you can also get during the Kickstarter. But I'm gonna show off the promo packs and other expansion stuff that you can get separately that didn't come in this box during a separate video. Since all of this stuff is available in the Deluxe box, so if you find it, you'll get all of this. If you get the regular version, it'll be, I believe, that's a purple hue to it. Just gonna try and see if I have a picture of it on one of these other booklets, but I don't. Yeah, so that'll just have... Nope. I thought maybe I had a picture somewhere. Nope. Yeah, so it'll be like a purplish hue box. And it just won't have the printed stuff. It'll have all the other cubes and everything else. It also will not have the gelatinous cubes or the extra purple ones. But you can possibly get those a different time. Alright, see you guys in the next video. Bye.